Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the December 2024 meeting of the Board of Cumberland County Commissioners. And as is our usual way to start a meeting, please join us if you wish as we say the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you very much. Tonight, first item of business is the approval of the minutes. Anyone wish to make a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Watonis is moving, and Commissioner Jameson is seconding. Might be their last official acts. The approval of the minutes. Any discussion? Stephen?
Yeah, just in attendance, can we put down that we had the two elected commissioners in attendance? I think just for the record.
I think we can make note of that, and we can also make note that one of them is present again this evening.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see Ms. Katarina,
And also that they were in the executive session.
that's true, yes. So, any objection to those corrections? Seeing none? Anything else? All those in favor, as amended, the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, it's unanimous. I would request the indulgence of the board to proceed immediately to item number 24-126, which is a new business item, calling on the county manager to accept the Department of Justice grant award to the Cumberland County District Attorney's Office for the Cumberland County Sexual Assault Kit Tracking and Testing Initiative for the amount of $2,496,072. Mr. Manager?
Thank you. I'm going to pass this off to District Attorney Mr. Torres. This is an exciting grant that they received late Friday that they received, and I just want to offer them public congratulations. It was a big lift, and it was a grant well done. And so I'm happy for them being able to be awarded this funding. So I'll turn the podium over to DA.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Town Manager Gailey. I'm Jackie Sartoris, the District Attorney. I think I've met all of you once or twice before. And we are thrilled to have been given the award of this grant. It is a very substantial grant, almost $2.5 million. I'm here tonight with my Assistant District Attorney, Tina Penitis. Tina's really almost solely responsible for all of the legwork associated with this grant. I want to emphasize that this was done on Tina's personal time. We don't have a grant writer on staff. We don't pay people to write grants in my office. We don't have personnel for that. I would say this is a project that has been one of Tina's really most important things to her for several years now. We started working together as prosecutors in Kennebec County in 2020, and I remember that one of our first conversations, we realized that we had this shared interest in a backlog of untested sex assault kits, which is really an epidemic throughout the country. However, every state but Maine has proceeded to start to address this in one county or another, and we're incredibly proud that Cumberland County will be the first county in Maine to track, to do a full inventory, to test kits where appropriate, and then to investigate cases and vigorously prosecute cases. I want to go ahead and turn this over to Tina. If you have any questions, of course, we're both here to answer. I do, though, right before I turn it over to Tina, also want to just say my thanks to the county staff. We were helped in this initiative by so many of the county staff who first warned us this will be a much more rigorous grant process than you could possibly imagine, and then helped us walk through what turned out to be a far more rigorous process than we could have imagined. We were absolutely thrilled to get the grant in. They gave very short notice this year for the grant. There was very little time to pull it together, thanks to the fact that Tina had been working on partnerships for over a year before the grant was announced. We were able to do this in record time, but only with Travis, with Alex, with Jim, all saying, okay, here's what you do next, which we can't thank them enough for. So Tina, and if you have any questions, we're happy to answer them. Tina's going to give you a very quick summary of what this grant will let us do.
Great, thanks so much. Yes, thanks to the county because you all were incredibly helpful with feedback and collaboration, and it was appreciated, and I learned a lot about the DOJ process. The basic need for this grant is what we know in Maine is that about 80% of the sexual assault kits that are that hold evidence after a sexual assault forensic exam in a hospital, about 80% go into what the lab kind of refers to as a black hole. We don't know where they are. Only about 20% of kits get back to the lab. So that's the first problem that we knew that we needed to address with the grant. Because these grants have been given out since about 2015, the DOJ and the Bureau of Justice Assistance within the DOJ, they direct this grant project, and I've been working with the directors of that grant program for a while, who've been really helpful in terms of helping Maine get to a place where we could do an application. And luckily, they have a pretty good template for how the work gets done. I connected with a number of other communities, police departments, the prosecutor who heads a similar program in Cleveland, who basically helped me think through, here's what worked for us in 2016, here's what didn't work, here's what you want to include, and what you don't want to include. So luckily, we were able to have a pretty comprehensive plan based on other people's learning of applying this grant program to their communities. The first step is to do an inventory of what we have in Cumberland County. The second step is to implement a tracking system. Luckily, because there is a companion tracking project in 2 other Maine counties, they've already purchased the tracking system at the lab. So the lab director has agreed that we can just jump right on that tracking system that's already been developed, and we can add Cumberland County to that. So that's an expense that luckily is, the hope obviously is that it would go statewide. The third thing is to test any applicable kits. So we have in Maine a process when you go get an exam, you can decide to report the crime or not report the crime. And sometimes that happens during the exam, sometimes that happens before the exam, and sometimes you say that you want to report it and then it doesn't get reported to the police. But if you choose to keep a kit what we call anonymous, that kit never gets tested. And those kits are held in the local police departments that have jurisdiction over the hospital. So for example, Portland PD would keep several anonymous kits in the hospital, for the hospitals in Portland. So you have the anonymous kits, and then you have all the other kits that may or may not be reported, but they're not anonymous. So all of those kits, historically, if they haven't been determined that the case is going to trial, they were not tested. And that was basically kind of the direction of the investigators and the prosecutors, who would say, we're not going to use the lab's resources to test these kits because either the case is not going anywhere or the victim, ultimately didn't report, or it fell into a category where it wasn't going forward in the criminal justice system. But what we know in the other communities that have done this project is about 25% of the kits that they test have some type of DNA hit. So it could be to a robbery, it could be to some other type of crime. In some instances, they have DNA that's matched to homicides. So we know that in the other communities that have done this work, the older kits that have been sitting, that haven't been tested, do have crucial information that protects the public and it can identify serial offenders. Does that all make sense so far? It's a pretty complex system. So I think that's everything. Did I miss anything?
So
Okay.
It's a 3-year grant.
Yeah.
Right? And that 3-year grant, we have partnerships. We'll be working with many member agencies, including, of course, the state lab. So there's funding, the $2.496 million does not just go and sit in the district attorney's office. In fact, we will be hiring one staffer as a result of this grant, one full-time prosecutor. And then we have funding to hire an investigator who will absolutely be specially trained to follow up on any of these potential cases for the investigation and hopefully maybe prosecution. And then, of course, we have funding to do the testing itself, which is covered by a third-party lab. The Maine State Lab could not take, hundreds of kits from Cumberland County in one fell swoop or even over 3 years and test all of them. So we worked closely with the Department of Public Safety to make sure that we had written into the grant exactly the way that it makes the most sense to get the testing done. And then they actually have to go through a verification process at the lab to upload data into CODIS, which is the federal DNA system that would hit and tell you whether or not this is somebody who has committed a crime where there's DNA evidence already uploaded to CODIS. It will then also enable us to see if we have serial perpetrators. Other communities that have done this work, 10 to 15% of the DNA have come up with hits to serial perpetrators. So you can see why this is so vital in public safety and why we're so excited to finally be doing this here in Cumberland County, if you approve our grant. So that's the question. Do you have any questions for us? Yes.
Patty?
I think this is super exciting. I really appreciate the work from the county staff level to your folks in your office. I mean, it's really a wonderful step for the state of Maine and being a leader in Cumberland County to get this going, and I'm just so excited to hopefully get this going. I have just the question I do have is, you mentioned inventory is the first step, and obviously, a lot of time has passed, a lot of mismanagement potentially on where these kits are and what's going on. What do you believe the time frame to be to get a true picture, a true inventory of really what's out there for us in Cumberland County? Will that take 6 months? Will that take 2 months, a year? I wouldn't know what to guess.
Such a good question. So I did kind of a preliminary inventory with a couple of the bigger departments and did some estimates for the grant based on that. So in the grant, we're estimating that it would be about 500 kits that we would send out for testing. Typically, the grant funders say leave about 6 months exactly for a very in-depth inventory, and there's DOJ standards that you have to record certain things and make sure that you have the information exactly like the DOJ wants it to be, to make sure that it's a full inventory. You can't even move on to the next step of the grant until you submit your inventory and get approval from them. I mean, I wouldn't say, we'll definitely leave the 6 months to do it, but the departments were incredibly responsive and very supportive, and I was able to go and meet with departments in person and kind of see what they had. So I really don't think that'll be a huge undertaking, but they do have a procedure under the grant for how to do it. So I would say 6 months.
And we would report back, I think, even if it's just in writing, look, we're happy to come before you whenever you want us, but just so you know, this is a 3-year grant. As we make progress, we will be giving information to the county commissioners, because I think the public is going to be very interested in knowing about this.
And that's the point of my question. I think a lot of people already know about this issue, within our country, but also within our state and where we're lacking. And I think the follow-up, and when we get a large grant like this, it's really nice to see a benchmark hit and to, put a press release out to say, this is what we uncovered in this first phase of accurate inventory and what's our next step. Because I think people want to see action items from grants like this, and I think this is this is an important story to tell. And it's important work to do, and I hope that we follow it up and let the public know how this does affect people's lives and the ripple effect of where it may go based on evidence. So thank you all for your work, and I'm excited to see the next steps and hear the good news that comes. So thank you.
Anyone else? Well, thank you very much. I think you got a fighting chance that this is going to pass. Steve?
Can I, Jackie?
Yes.
Can I ask you a question?
Oh, of course.
Is there anything that the commissioners can do to help you with the pretrial level that we've got in our jails? I mean, what purportedly, we've got 90% of our prisoners at pretrial.
Yes, so that's somewhat different topic, and I will actually be back here in February to talk about some ideas that we have. One of those ideas, and you'll see it in the county lines coming out in the end of year summary especially, one of the things that I've been talking up, and we're about, I think, to put an advisory committee together for the district attorney's office, is a pre-trial facility, a therapeutic facility like the one that is underway in York County. They've been very successful in other places. We are doing a very preliminary investigation, however, in Cumberland County. Our issue, of course, is by the time people get to trial, they've already, languished for a long time, either in jail in some cases where there are serious crimes, or pre-trial on pre-trial contracts, when, we may be able to assess pretty rapidly that what they need is substance use treatment, mental health treatment. And there's a dearth of facilities to deliver that sort of treatment. When you have someone pre-trial, I hate to say it, but frankly, you've got a lot of control over what they do. It is the right opportunity if they don't have the kind of internal motivation, and a lot of people with addiction do not have internal motivation. It is the right time to be able to say, look, the prosecution of your case is going to go one way if you have done some treatment, if you are in recovery, if you're making strides. It's going to go a different way if you don't do any of those things, because we need to keep the public safe, and we need to make sure that crime does not come over and over and over again from the same perpetrators. So we are excited. I am excited about the idea of this sort of bailed to facility, but that would be a long ways away. I'm happy to sit down, though, and start reviewing with my staff where we are in terms of the folks we're currently holding. I have to say, the judiciary has not been warm and fuzzy about holding on to people for no good reason, especially since the pandemic. We are seeing really repeat offenders who are being held at the jail primarily. And, it's not that I'm seeing a crime wave. I want to make it super clear. We're not seeing that. What we're seeing is folks with repeat offenses where the cause for their conduct is not being resolved in the current system. And the criminal legal system is not going to resolve that without some substantial resources that we currently don't have. Sorry, that was a long response, but I'm actually working on this, and I'm really excited about the work we've been doing. And again, the county staff have just been terrific. We've had a lot of participation and cooperation from the sheriff's office and looking at some of these great ideas. They are being done all over the country. They definitely require us to kind of put on a new lens, and also to do I think, a robust cost-benefit analysis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have a motion to pass this item?
Mr. Chair, I move that we authorize the county manager to accept the Department of Justice grant award to the Cumberland County District Attorney's Office for our Cumberland County Sexual Assault Kit Tracking and Testing Initiative in the amount of $2.496 million.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Congratulations.
Thank you for all your
Look
work
forward
and
to
efforts.
seeing, be glad to see you again soon.
Thank you.
And thank you for taking that out of order. Let's go back to our regular agenda and start with, we have some informational reports. First, in the Registry of Deeds, the recording and surcharge fee increase proposal summary.
And Jessica is here this evening to present. It was a request of Commissioner Gordon last meeting to understand a little bit more of what the registers across the state of Maine are going to be putting in for legislation for fee increases for the registries. And so I've asked Jessica to come this evening to talk a little bit about her department and to give you an idea of what legislation the registers are looking at. Jessica?
Jessica, we're glad to welcome you. Glad to hear what you can tell us about this.
Okay. I'm Jessica Spalding, Register of Deeds, for those that don't know me. The Register of Deeds Association is actually very excited to propose to legislation this year to increase our recording fees. So our fees have not been increased since 2011. So we're looking to change to a flat fee system rather than a per document, per page fee, which can create confusion amongst submitters and create rejections. So we're looking to change that, and we're also looking to change our free copies, or as Alex likes to call it, the Bill Whitten special. So currently, currently our constituents can get 500 free copies on our website, and then after that it's 50 cents a copy, and we're looking to decrease that to 10, because we feel that the average consumer that's getting a copy, they're getting a deed and it's only 2 or 3 pages. So the people who are benefiting are the large corporations who are doing title research. So the Registers of Deeds are very excited to present this, so we're looking to increase it from $22 for the first page and $2 for each additional to a flat $50. So 45 of that is the recording fee, and $5 would go to our Registry Preservation and Surcharge Fund. That fund is strictly for the registry to preserve our records, restore our records, store our records. So it's a modest increase from currently $3 per document to $5 per document. So we've submitted to legislation. We do have a senator who is sponsoring the bill, so we're hoping to get this passed this term.
Who is sponsoring?
Senator Rick Bennett out of Oxford County.
Any questions? Well, good luck out there, I would say.
Okay, I just want to add that the funds from this will go directly to the county's general revenue. So Alex and I put together some numbers, and based on our 2023 numbers, we're looking at about a 65% increase if this passes.
Steve?
Yeah, if you can send me a copy, I'll get it into the MCCA's legislative process.
Sure. So we did, the president and I did attend the MCCA board meeting, and I do believe that they have a copy of the legislation, but I can follow up with you to make sure that they do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? No? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And the other presentations include the 2025 proposed meeting and agenda schedule.
Yes, and that is for information only, and I'll go over it quickly. The agenda schedule is something that we typically provide you for comment leading into the first meeting of the year. This agenda schedule has 2 columns. The first is if we meet on our typical second Monday of the month for the 12 months. We have also had Commissioner-elect Tyler inquiry the commissioners of whether you would all have any issue meeting on the 3rd Monday of the month due to he has a conflict that he'd like to dodge if needed or if able to. And so he was wondering about the 3rd Monday. And so I did look into the bylaws, and other than how the meeting in January lands on the day, the bylaws does give give the discretion to the commissioners on what day and time and all that you meet. So there is that possibility if you're interested in it. Tonight, we're only introducing it to get you thinking. You got 30 days to think about it to our next meeting and see where we land that evening. But I just wanted to kind of give you what the dates would be and what the bylaws provide for guidance. The second,
Can I ask one question? I know I'm supposed to digest this, but if we have 2 meetings in a month, if we have some special workshop or something, how does that affect staff and the ability to get work done? In terms of if it goes into another month, does that really make a difference, just as I'm thinking about it?
staff will adjust on the commissioner's desires. And I think right now, we meet the second Monday of the month, and we have a workshop on the 4th Monday of the month when warranted. I think we would probably have to look at maybe having workshops on the 1st Monday of the month to have that. Having back-to-back Mondays would be problematic for staff. And so those times that we do have workshops, I would recommend going the 1st Monday of the month and then having the regular scheduled meeting the 3rd Monday, if that's the desire of the commission.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying. Appreciate it.
Steve?
Yeah, I would support just the idea of the 3rd Monday. And the reason is it also gives staff a chance to put together any reports that they've got. It gives them more time. The only thing I would say is that if we're going to go to the 3rd Monday, I would hope that we would get the agenda and the information by the preceding Wednesday. Because you'll get more days, but we'll get time to go over it rather than
Sometimes,
I would
sometimes
guess
we
that
can
you get
meet,
more time
It's gonna
once.
be hard.
sometimes we can
Staff
meet
gets
that.
more time once.
Not this last week, though.
Yeah, last week on Friday afternoon, we got a couple of items, hence why we had to amend the agenda last minute to bring on the grant that we just approved, and
I understand.
some things it just doesn't work out that we can get it out that early.
But originally, we were trying to get it out on a Wednesday, and now it doesn't come till Friday. So if we move it, let's try again.
We will give it our best effort, if that's the desire of the commission to move it on to the third Monday.
Gotcha.
And then, of course, the next presentation has to do with those much-desired committee appointments.
Committee appointments will be an exercise that we will bring the commissioners through, that is typically done in January, when the new commissioners are seated, and we'll spend 10 or 15 minutes going down the list and divvying up the responsibilities of the different committees. But we put it in this evening so we could give you a head start on giving it some thought on where you would like to land for 2025.
So we don't often have a agenda item called recognizing outgoing commissioners, but we're going to do that a couple of times tonight. And for all those that are watching us intently on tape delay over the next month or two, it's worthwhile to recognize and to know that the two people that are leaving us after tonight have each committed more than 12 years of experience and effort to helping the county make its way. There have been some significant changes in the 12 years that they've been here, and they've had a steady and firm hand in a lot of that. A lot of people are going to the Civic Center these days who benefit from the efforts of both of them in the rebuilding process that was undertaken after the voters approved a rehab of that facility. And of course, that is now an integrated part of county government as opposed to its status at the time that they were building it. They've done many other things. So just wanted to recognize Commissioner Susan Latonis and Commissioner Neil Jameson. We've got a little card here for each of you to enjoy for years to come. And,
Thank you.
Thank you.
we would actually also be very glad to hear from each of you if you have any comments to leave us with.
Sue, you go first.
Oh, thanks.
I'd like to point out that Commissioner Watonis was the steady source of cookies for the commissioners for a number of years.
There you go.
He's reprising that effort apparently tonight, so that's great. Commissioner Watonis.
Well, thank you. It is a bittersweet time hour for me. 14 years ago when I was saying, what did I ever do? Why did I want, with this, our position? And it was a hard decision to always be the commissioner that didn't take the other side. There were many votes that were 4-1. There were some votes that I would go along with Commissioner Howard Cludio, which was a little scary at the time. For both of us, when we both agree on the same, because we both have, different our philosophies. Well, but I do think that the 14 years on this board, it has opened up my eyes on our government. Neil and I were very instrumental on the renovation and the bond issue for the 31.2 million, or for the new Civic Center. And that was not an easy, committee, to be on. because out in my area, with the Royal area, is I was supportive, and I made that very clear when day one. I do not support with the renovation, and I gave my reasons. But push comes to shove, when everybody out in my area, they were voted to support it, then I would jumped on board. And it, like I said, with Neil and I on there were some things that we wouldn't have today if Neil and I didn't push and push and push. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the citizens of Cumberland County, for giving me with the opportunity for these last 14 years, to be on this board. I have made some friends. I've made some enemies. I've lost a lot of friends because some decisions, that I've had to make. But I think in the long run that I did, with the right thing. And I would like to thank the staff, especially, the executive staff. Because if it wasn't for the executive staff and with Jim, I don't know where this county would be. Because I don't know how many years that you've been here, Jim. All I can remember is 3 months. I've been here for 3 months. And when we interviewed, for that, our position, and when Jim walked in and he saw our 2 were commissioners on that, committee, he said, "What did I get myself into?" And that we knew at that point that we had to pick somebody that could take the county at some point when the person who was in charge would decided, to leave, and we needed a strong person, to take that. Not when knowing that was going to be, 3 months into the job, or 6 months, or 3, I don't know. I don't even know how long. Oh, it was 8, okay. And so we had to pick that person. And I will honestly say the whole committee had nothing but high praise, for Jim. I think you were on that committee. And if it wasn't for Jim and his leadership, and for him, to be picking with the staff, what he did, to bring on board, I'm not sure why he still can live in South Portland, but because he stole everybody from South Portland. But, but we have a very strong executive committee, and we have a very strong staff. And with Jim, I'd like to thank you and your staff, for the excellent job that you've done. I know it hasn't been an easy couple of years, but I want to thank you, because you and your staff are the reason why, the county is in the shape, that we're in today. And I will come back, to check out, how the office is over at the new place. Maybe I'll get a plaque there, I don't know, so something. Or maybe I'll have a chair with my name on it or something if I want to come and sit somewhere. But I would like to thank you all and all the staff. I know you work hard, and I just appreciate, you all. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yep.
Well said, sir.
Yeah.
I got a few notes here. Always dangerous to give an attorney a microphone, as Jim would attest. But
yeah.
I want to applaud Sue for all of her contributions and efforts. It's been really great having her as a colleague, showing me the ropes as I first came on board. And the entire commission. Tom Coward was here previously, Dick Feeney was here as well. But we really have had a remarkable run as a Board of Commissioners. And besides the collegiality, finding a way to deal with difficult issues. And we always would do that. We would put the emotions aside and do it for the benefit of the county. Sue is dead on when she says, when she thanked Jim and the staff, Peter Crichton before him, but that the effort and the work that the executive staff does and the managers is excellent. And in any group I've been involved in, professionally or in nonprofit volunteer capacity, I've never seen such a group of talented and dedicated public servants who do a remarkable job and go way beyond the call of duty. And And to follow up Sue's comments, it's exactly why Cumberland County is doing some great things, because of our great leadership in Jim and Alex and everybody. So we thank you all for those efforts. Some of the things that have happened over these last, for me, 13 years, and Steve Gordon and I were talking earlier, and he and I were on the Charter Commission that started the drafting of the charter. We were elected in 2008, and then that 2-year process, and the voters of Cumberland County approved the charter in 2010, which expanded the commissioner board from 3 to 5, which really made sense because we each have about 55,000 constituents, and before it was 90. And so I think that expansion has been one of the sort of hidden accomplishments that have occurred over this period of time. Realigning the registry and the probate structure, getting rid of the registrar to having a professional staff member. The $30 million renovation of the cross insurance arena, and the fact now, all these years later, the cross insurance arena is making a profit. Not only is it a class act in terms of facility in northern New England, but for the last 2 years, it's actually in the black. And that's a tribute, again, to the executive staff and the management at the cross insurance arena. And there were a lot of difficult meetings that occurred, and some of those were when the Pirates decided to leave, and for a couple years, Maine Mariners. The expansion of regional services have been key. Adding the public health department, the tax assessment department, expansion and improvement and total renovation of the 911 center. We have 18 of our municipalities that are involved in the 911 center, and that's remarkable for a county as large as Cumberland County. Adding the new medical wing to Cumberland County through the American Rescue Plan Act, and let's just talk about that for one moment. A generational, historic investment in the county to the tune of $57 million will reap benefits down the road for 10 years and 15 years. And it really, through Jim and the executive staff's use and application of those funds, we are able to do great things in the county and for the county, for the citizens and for the services. And in no small part, the acquisition of a new office building, 27 Northport, which will be open in hopefully February, March?
2025.
Sometime in 2025, and then Sue and I are looking forward to the Watonis Jameson wing that you guys have funded. Contributions to affordable housing in the country, Pebble Street, homeless shelter in Portland, municipal water and sewer projects, and on it goes. And so Cumberland County has and will continue to do great things in this part of the state. For you residents, please reach out, get involved, talk to your commissioners, come to a meeting. But it is a viable and strategic and important branch of government here in southern Maine, and it's been a labor of love that I've had the opportunity to be involved these last 13 years. Thank you.
Well said, both of you. Nice. And of
Motion to
course, we're
adjourn.
going to miss you, but
You're not going to miss us that much.
Come on, Jim.
I'm going to miss the cookies.
Well, I do understand there is a kitchen at the new place, but there's no stove, so what can I say?
Jim, I'd like to say a word or two also about, because of them and the rest of the board and the team that we've had, I have not served on such an entrepreneurial public body as this one. I mean, it's really, Neil kind of outlined it, and Sue put it forth, but it was always looking to the future. What can we do? Maybe if we twist this a little bit, we can help people a little bit more. And that's been the whole mantra of the board. And much to you, the two of you, direction too.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Okay. Members of the public, we set aside 3 minutes for anyone to speak their mind, and we're welcome
Hi, Jean
Commissioner
Marie.
to be Katerina.
That's okay. Jean Marie Katerina, Scarborough, Maine. I wanted to get up today to thank Commissioner Watonis and Commissioner Jameson for their service, having been recently retired from council service. I know what it's like. It's very bittersweet to leave. And I think it's important for people to reach out and thank folks who give of their time to serve their fellow people within counties or municipalities, or state, or whatever. I do have to laugh, Sue. I'm just going to say one thing, because when you said that Jim took people out of South Portland, I'm originally from South Portland too, just so you know.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll be coming on to the commission in January and looking forward to that. But I've known Neil for a number of years. I know all the time and effort he's put into the commission. I've talked to him at length about different things over the years, and I just wanted to say a particular thank you to you, Neil, for your service. So, thank you.
Thank you, Jean Marie.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll move on. The consent agenda before us, we have the last of the year, 24, resolutions 24, 116, 117, 18, 119, 124, 25. And unless there's a motion to remove something from that consent agenda, I entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion of any item? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? It's unanimous. Pleased to have Ms. Warren with us tonight to tell us about all the ARPA news and the business that's before us. Ms. Gailey?
Thank you. We have a number of items that fall into the world of opera this evening. The first is we're bringing forth the office furniture and modular construction contracts for the 27 Northwood building. This vendor was selected by staff and approved by the county commissioners back in February of this year, I think it was, as the preferred vendor. And over that time, we have been working with these two, I guess they're two companies, but I think they're a company and a subsidiary, is it not? On the design of the 27 Northwood building, through the furniture, workstations, conference rooms, chairs, the gamut, and the modular wall system that we've decided to go through versus sheetrock and studs. And so this item is being brought forth this evening for the commissioners' review and approval. Total dollar between the two contracts. The core contract, which is primarily the conference rooms and workstations, is $844,282.76. As the modular wall system is $727,254.45, for a total use of opera funds in the amount of, and I just flew by it, $1,571,537.21. I want to thank those who attended this evening's site walk over at the building to see firsthand how construction's going, and hopefully we kind of explained how the modular wall system would be in place and where the workstations would be, and the reasons for that configuration. I think that bodes well in kind of understanding the two quotes, two price sheets that we have under this item, and the need to spend the dollars that we are allocating towards the project. This money will come from the ARPA revenue replacement funds, and will be fully covered by that. So that, would you like to answer anything or say anything else, Sandy, or is that good?
I think that summarizes it very well. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Great, thank you.
That's, we're gonna take these one at a time?
They're together. We put them both together. If the motion could just separate out the two. The motion being approve the proposal for office furniture and modular construction solutions for the Cumberland County Northport Building.
Move passage.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I guess I just want to make a comment.
Sure.
That's okay. I really appreciate all of the thought and the brain power that's been put into the project, particularly for this issue, these two before us this evening. It's expensive, I mean, it's a big ticket item, but I really appreciate the thoughtfulness that we have a lot of flexibility with this system. You know, we don't know where we'll be in 2 years, 5 years, 7 years, and this is a very adaptable system. And I think it's smart to be thinking, we're not sure, and it's okay to say, we're not sure. I really appreciate that in general, that we have maximum flexibility. So I think staff's doing a fantastic job looking as far as they can, but building in flexibility. And the last thing I'll say too, based on what I've seen so far, is that it's a really humanistic process. And when I say that, what I mean is, I feel like the folks who are looking at all these details are thinking about each and every staff member. So, I mean, in terms of the staff at Cumberland County, I feel like you're in great hands. It's gonna be a great unifier to bring everyone together under the same roof. And I think a lot of thought is going into making sure everyone has a great new home, and it's very well thought out. And of course, you know, change is hard for everybody. There'll be different things that people aren't used to, but I think a lot of effort is going into making it as best it can be, and really thinking about each staff person here and how they're going to come into their new home away from home, so to speak, at work. So just want to say thank you for all of the good work that's being done thus far by the county staff. So thank you.
I guess I'd throw in 2 cents worth myself, particularly directed at Sandy and Alex, who had other things to do and plenty of responsibilities that didn't have anything to do with rebuilding large buildings that needed some work. So it's a great credit to both of you that this has gone as well as it has. And for those that weren't keeping track of the $35 million that we were going to spend on a new site improvement down on County Way, after we dug halfway to China to get rid of the pollution in the dirt. This was an opportunity that was by circumstances brought to our attention, and one that management in a flash was able to say, we think we have a new and better direction, and we might even have a way to pay for it, which turned out to be true as well. Alex, you have something?
I'd just like to add 2 names onto that. Bill Trufant inherited yet another building for him to take care of, and he's over there practically every day. You know, anything and everything.
Sure, of
Today
course.
it was putting down some salt so that none of us tripped when we went into the building. But he's in there all the time. Another person, Aaron Gilpatrick, has been extremely helpful in terms of our wiring plans. Plus he, you know, named all the conference rooms, so hey.
So, congratulations to all. Can I have a motion on this item, please?
So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Great. And 24-121 is to approve the alignment of the final opera budget. Mr. Cantor?
Thank you. I'd like to invite Sandy Warren up to take us through this process and what she's looking for from the commissioners.
Thank you, Jim. So what's before you this evening is the final budget. So we're sprinting towards the obligation deadline for our funds. And what that means is Treasury's telling us you have to contractually obligate these dollars now. There's no room for unallocated funding. You have to have either interagency agreements in place or contracts with subawards or subcontractors. And so we're doing that, and this is sort of solidifying that all of the money that we have out there is contractually obligated. No one can take it away. We are incurring those costs, so don't take that money. And we have to do it by December 31st of this year. We still have until December 31st of 2026 to spend down all the money, but this way it's all legally obligated to be expended. And before you is a list of all of our projects in play, some of which will be ending as of December 31st of this year, and others will go on into 2026, which are mostly our infrastructure, larger projects like 27 Northport will go into, 2025, and the air handler unit will go into 2025, hopefully not 2026. But we have those funds there if we need it to. Any questions?
I just have a go ahead.
Sure, go ahead.
Sandy, I just want to, and it's been brought up before, but I want to congratulate you and all the executive staff that worked on this generational project. Really was a isolated and unique and a fantastic opportunity for Cumberland County. And you hit it in stride and did a wonderful job managing it and organizing it and spending $57 million. Not everyone can do that, so congratulations to you and the executive staff.
Thank you very much.
So I do have this question. If some of the obligated funds are directed at projects that either cost less or stop for some reason, do those funds lapse, or is it possible to transfer them somewhere else, or do we know?
So that's a great question. It's really dependent on the type of contract that we have in place. And that's why today you're also authorizing me to add language to our inter-office or interagency agreements so that we can do change orders and make changes if we need to. Unfortunately, as it stands right now, I have to put language into interagency agreements, for example, like the air handler here. If we don't expend all of the money on this project, it still has to go towards the same scope of work. So we could expand on that project here and do like a different floor or something of that nature, but I couldn't take that money and then reprogram it to a different project. So that is a caveat for these funds. Great question.
Well, there goes the Commissioner's Lounge.
Jim, I'd settle for chair.
Anything else for Sandy?
Just the one comment, obviously the document at the end that lists all the projects. It's really impressive. I mean, I just scrolled through it again for numerous times, but, just the breadth and the depth of how we could use those funds. It speaks for itself, but it's just amazing that, it's a several-page document of all these different agencies. And thank you for coordinating. Thank you for kind of probably wrangling and cracking whips sometimes in all a good way to get people on board and make sure things happen, because it's just, that kind of money coming into people's hands. It is changing a lot of people's lives, residents of Cumberland County. So thank you for that real amazing wide and broad effect that money has had. So thank you.
That's great. Do I hear a motion to pass the final ARPA budget?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Item 24, 122, commissioning agent bid for the Cumberland County Capital Improvements Project, Sparhawk Group, 74-182. Again,
Thank you. Again, I'm going to ask Sandy to come on up and talk us through this award a bit.
Wondering why you sat down.
So what's before you tonight is the request for proposals for commissioning agents. So the county jail, 27 Northport, and the air handler unit that's going to be going in here, renovations and replacement, all need a commissioning agent to help us to ensure that the projects are going to be working at the end of the day the way they're intended to, and that everything that's going into the new building is done correctly, and that we then have all of the necessary documents and training in place prior to those projects coming to a close. So the commissioning agent, while it seems ancillary, it's very important to all of these projects, and we didn't have it with the communication center, and I wish we had. I think that would have helped us a lot. So I made the choice to go out to bid for that and to also ensure that we have a contract in place before December of this year, so we're secure there. And this particular group came up and they did an excellent job with their proposal. And our current architects and engineers from both firms, from both WSP and SMRT, both raved about them and thought they were great. And they were also the lowest price, so it's a win-win in my book there. So they're a great group. I think they're going to do wonderful things, and they have a good background that will work really well for us.
So this is kind of a group that would analyze the end product delivery and tell us where we stand?
Yes, they'll come in and inspect all the air handler unit itself, make sure it's actually running to specs, as the contractor is telling us that it is. So it's that second set of eyes to make sure that what we're getting for a package is actually what it is, and it's working the way it should be. Is that what you agree?
Kind of like making sure you have the manufacturer's operating manuals, yeah. I get it. Any questions, comments? I have a motion, please.
So move.
Moved and seconded?
Go for it, Neil.
Go ahead, Peg.
In baseball, it's tinkers to evers to chance, right?
Who's on first?
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous.
I do have a question, though. It brings it up. It's kind of related to the project of the new building. And maybe it's been answered and I just forgot. EV chargers, are they being put at, yeah, okay.
Those are a component of the renovation itself. Do you want to talk about that at all, Bill? Yeah, go ahead. He knows more about the actual systems itself, but they are a component of the renovation.
So the infrastructure
Who are you?
themselves. Go ahead, sorry. Boss. Go ahead.
Who are you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you have to introduce yourself.
He's trying to help you out.
I'm bad. So yes, the infrastructure is part of the actual project itself. The chargers alone, we purchased alone. They're rather inexpensive. It's ready to roll the day we move in. We do have the ability for future expansion if needed. So to go on the concept of looking ahead, that's just another process as which we did. We're looking ahead for those as well. There's plenty of room. So,
Thank you.
okay, no problem.
And you're in the Public Facilities Department of some sort, yeah. Public buildings, right? Oh, yeah. Great. Item number 24-123, Solar Solutions. Mr. Gailey?
Thank you. I'm going to invite Travis Kennedy, who has been spearheading this initiative for the 27 Northport Drive building.
Thank you. Good evening. So this is in response to that very first day that we all climbed up onto the roof a little over a year ago and had the same exact observation, which is that solar panels work great up here. Earlier tonight in the consent agenda, you approved a block grant fund from the Department of Energy that is not to exceed just under $80,000. We have already got pre-authorization from DOE to spend that money on solar panels at the Northport building, should we decide that we want to. Earlier in the fall, we conducted an RFQ. We publicized it. We had a lot of engagement. I got a lot of free advice from some potential bidders. And the purpose was to find a contractor who could come in and develop the best possible solar array for the building, for its capacity, and for our needs. So ultimately, two firms bid. One was head and shoulders above the other in terms of local experience, interconnectedness experience with Central Maine Power, their approach. We really liked Maine Solar Solutions. We've since met with them a few times. They joined Bill and I for a tour of the building last week when we scaled the roof. They looked thoroughly at all the electric on site. They considered the reinforcement plans for the roof, and they said, we'd like to make some suggestions based on what you currently have available to build on, and whether you might be willing to expand your reinforcements a little bit more. For that reason, we don't have a price from them yet. What we're asking for is permission to negotiate with them exclusively, and through their engineering work and the engineering work by WSP to determine if it's feasible to expand the roof a little bit more. The goal is to come up with a plan for a solar array on the roof that will not exceed the cost of a combination of the grant that we're receiving, plus we're able to actually collect a 30% federal rebate. So in the memo I wrote, the total is just under $114,000 that we could spend on a solar array with no attributable cost to the taxpayers. So what we're looking for is permission to move forward with Maine Solar Solutions tonight to find a solution for Northport that we can then engage them to construct, ideally within days of us moving into the building.
And spend up to 114.
Spend up to 114,000, correct, right. So we'll extract 30% through a federal rebate and pay the rest with the block grant.
Sue? Not Sue. Patty?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Questions?
Sure.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing this forward, and I remember that day climbing on the roof, it was super fun. Do we have any sense of cost benefit in terms of moving forward? I know there's a lot of unknowns right now in terms of what is possible, but in terms of offsets, people always like to know, oh, I'm going solar, I'm gonna save this much on my bill. You know, that's what residential folks think. Obviously, it's very different, but do you have any sense of like where we might see some benefit?
They haven't provided those to me yet. They've done drone flyovers to determine where there may be any shade. They sort of have collected all that data.
Yep.
I think that their goal is to demonstrate once we choose a path. What I have asked them for in advance is, in particular, if we're looking at an array larger than what we currently have the roof reinforced for, exactly what you're talking about, Commissioner, which is if we spend this extra money, what does that gain look like for us year over year? What they were able to tell me on site is, I guarantee you'll see your money back and then some, but they didn't have numbers for us just yet. I think they want to see how far we're willing to go with growing the project before they give us those estimates.
Did they give a sense that the payback would be within several years or a year, or did they really couldn't tell us about it?
Well, in our case, the payback is nothing, but.
Well, I mean,
yes,
realize those benefits, you're saying right away.
Right, yeah, and not yet, which is something that I've asked them for before we choose a solution. But no, they haven't given us an estimate of when the payback kicks in.
Okay.
Steve?
Travis, can't we assign any overage that we produce to one of our other assets?
My understanding of how a solar array works from having one in my home is that production beyond use, we basically are trading with the utility. And so whatever we produce at the end of a month that we haven't used gets banked for us to then use in months when the sun isn't shining quite so much. My house, for example, I generate way more electricity in the summer. I get paid through the fall. All that electricity I generate, it comes back to me. I don't believe that we can assign it to other facilities, but ultimately, we're not generating as much as we'll ever use there, so it's just offsetting some of our electricity costs.
I thought the way I understood it, that it would be excess.
I don't think there will ever be a day that we generate more than we use.
Not day, over the year.
And I mean, there'll even be a day.
So, one thing I would be interested in, if there's any indication that it might be worth considering, is whether we would either search for additional funds somewhere or look at some kind of capital that would increase the size of the installation if that proves to be feasible.
Going beyond the basically free number?
Yeah.
There was a third option that they presented to us which does that. I think that we still have to consult with WSP to understand what the reinforcement prospects would look like. Because if that becomes excessive, or the big fear is delays our move-in date because of that, I think that's a separate conversation to have. But we do have sort of this is everything you can do, and it would be more, so that would be a conversation we'd have to have if it even makes sense to pursue it.
Okay, I'm glad you're looking at that
Yeah.
at some point, okay. Anything else? We have a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. And as it comes along every year, 24-114 is the nomination of future chair and vice chair for the coming calendar year. I don't have any problem with that. I nominate Steve Gordon to be chair and Patricia Smith to be vice chair.
Second.
I don't know if we vote to impose that slate on the incoming people or not, but I'm willing to vote for it, so. All those in favor? Aye.
Sue's gonna be dancing a jig in 5 minutes.
Not 5.
So once again, thanks to both Sue and Neil especially, but thanks to everybody for a really pretty remarkable year in some ways. So, that means we start again in January. I have a motion to adjourn?
Don't you want to do the
Comments?
comments? Jim, you missed a whole big section.
Comments from
Haven't we done that enough?
You're in that hurry to finish as your
All right, how about
chair?
comments
Want
from
your
the
cookies now or later?
comments from the county manager?
Thank you. I got a few. First, I want to wish everyone a happy holidays and a safe holiday season. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to thank you for a great year. It was a busy year, very busy year, and I appreciate your help and guidance when called upon, and you running the commissioners' meeting efficiently and quickly, as it just showed that we were taking a vote to adjourn. Thank you very much. I just want to take a second and thank Neil and Sue for all their years. 14 years for Sue, 13 years for Neil. I'm sorry to see you both go. You've been two great supporters of staff. This commission over the last number of years has seen a lot of transition in county government. Just thinking back, just a short time that I've been here, what we've gone through, and I just wrote down a couple of things, and a lot of them don't date back all that far, but, one of the first things that we hit you with was overhauling the admin regs and non-union personnel policy. Huge lift, and really stripping out the old language and really bringing those two documents up to snuff and providing a good document for years to come. We've all talked about the opera funds. As much as staff has worked through that, it took you all to roll up your sleeves and help us out and provide us guidance. And your early guidance on how you wanted us to direct those funds was very important. You were around when we had regional assessing proposed and regional general assistance and the public health office. Those are three departments that didn't exist when you first started here, and it really started momentum of the growth of the county. In my short time here, we did have desks available for people to sit down at. Now, there isn't a desk to be found in this building, and we need to move on to a new building that you supported hands down, and really thinking about the environment and the atmosphere for the county employee who has to come to work day in and day out, and what the future holds for the county government and employee environment. Capital projects run the gamut. The support that you've given for millions and millions of dollars, whether it's at the jail, whether it's at the communication center, the Cross Insurance Arena, in this building, a lot of it's boring stuff, replacement windows or replacement of a roof, but there's still the strong support that you both gave to allowing staff to push forward with those expenditures. We proposed you good budgets, and we proposed you bad budgets, and we worked through those budgets each year and really took your strong comments and a lot of side comments on looking at things differently that improved the process. We worked through 2.5 years of COVID, hopefully never again. But to have your guidance and your support on how we were handling COVID within our organization and some of the things that we had to do that didn't feel all that comfortable, but we did. You were there supporting us in the back. The hiring and recruitment that we went through over the last 2 or 3 years, your understanding of the issue that we had with the hiring, your willingness to jump right into it and let us spend some significant dollars and think outside the box. Hiring probably the first government outside maybe the state of Maine recruiter in the state of Maine, if not northern New England for that matter. Putting the rocket ship software that we have that makes it an efficient process and one that we can just do all electronically. You know, your deep understanding of how to make the hiring process better and really have those tough discussions with HR staff and other departments on what is needed, and we appreciate that. And hand in hand, your understanding of what we need to do to retain employees. We've thrown a lot by the commission over the last number of years, whether it was increase in pay, whether it was 4-day work weeks. It runs the gamut. There's probably 6 or 7 items that we've thrown. A lot of understanding and a lot of support behind it. So I just want to thank you all for the support and the trust and the confidence in county staff to learn what we're trying to sell and to support us every step of the way as we implement the fruits of your votes. So on behalf of county staff, thank you very much.
Thank you. Alex, any comments?
I wasn't going to say anything, but hearing Jim talk about Neil and Sue brought me back to something. When I first started here, you two remember this one, really within like a month or so on the job, Sue and Neil took me to a Cross Insurance Arena Board of Trustees meeting where we had to go really head-to-head with the existing hockey team and even the Board of Trustees. And I remember being in the room with you two and thinking to myself, okay, these two are up for the fight. This is going to be fun. So I think just going back to that way back then, and it's kind of funny some of the things that we were fighting about then, different topics, but we fought the fight on that one, and thank you both.
Thank you.
Speaking about whether there's any money left in the bank, anything from finance?
I also want to thank Neil and Sue for your service and have enjoyed working with you. Thank you very much. And as far as on the finance end, things are busy as usual and especially busy with the end of the year. And I did want to share one of the exciting ones with going through with the new payroll software. I got to really embrace how nerdy the finance department is. With last week, we're having weekly meetings with the new payroll software, and the programmer on there is fantastic, and we have it with Erin Gilpatrick with IT in there. And it was just the meeting last week where the programmer keeps saying, this is easy, and as we keep adding on, we were all so excited, and we were like, we would rather have our Friday night sitting there doing the programming with that, is how much we were really enjoying and seeing what we can do compared to the current one where our hands have just been completely tied on it. So it's really exciting having that, and I'm very excited, looking forward to how much this should fingers crossed. I keep saying kind of like the space shuttle, either we're going to plant a garden on Mars or we're going to blow up on the way there, and I'm not sure which way we're going to go, but we're very excited with all the progress going on there. So thank you for your continued support as well.
I'm
The
hoping
long
for-
winter of bad morale in the finance office is finally coming to an end.
Yeah, no.
I'm going for the garden scenario.
That, right, that's what yes, so it just seems really fun that it's something that everybody's all on board with, I think they're even seeing the bigger picture on the payroll of, from processing it to understanding programming it. It's really been a collective group effort that they're kind of like, that's why we do this, and so it's been great.
HR, how's it going?
Speaking of a garden.
Speaking of paradise.
Yeah, exactly.
Sowing seeds.
Yeah, so, thank you both. I can't appreciate enough over Jim's items. I was involved in COVID, I was involved with the hiring, I've been involved with a lot of the labor relations things, and without your support, I wouldn't have the confidence to implement with my staff all those things. So I really do appreciate you both and the whole commissioner group. Last year we hired 80 new employees. This year we're trending towards 100 new employees.
Great.
So the churn is still going. Unfortunately, some of the attrition issues are occurring, and that's why that's why we don't have 600 people working here. It's because people are leaving, but it's still a lot of work, not only for HR, but finance and IT and facilities. There's legs to it when you hire new people, so it's been great working with all the other staff too to get that done. We are in the process right now. We've started and are in process for dispatch and corrections negotiations. We start the other two in January, law enforcement and corrections supervision contracts will start in January. So you'll get to see a lot of me next year asking for money or guidance for those labor agreements. Other than that, I just want to thank you both. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Travis, you didn't slip out the back door, so.
Can I ask Amy a
I
question?
didn't, and I deserve credit for that. Sitting in the back of the class, I could have, but I just wanted to take the opportunity to formally thank Neil and Sue. For the 7 years that I've worked here, I've always felt supported and encouraged, and it really is genuinely a much different experience than every other brand of politics that I've worked for. In particular, Sue, you're the perfect example of when you can disagree without being disagreeable. And so it's just been a genuine honor to work for and with both of you, and I hope that when we're cracking the bottle of champagne on the Jameson Watonis wing, you're thrilled to celebrate with us. Thank you both very much.
Thank you, Travis.
Neil will buy the champagne.
Happy to do it.
I got a
Be a
question-
bottle of Jameson beside it.
I got a question of Amy. Amy, you talk about this turnover we're having and so forth. I assume the average age of the workforce is lowering?
Oh, yes, significantly, yeah.
If you have any idea, I mean, now there's a different band of people and what their drivers are versus what they used to be.
Yeah.
So that's gonna change.
So where we have those turnovers are on those 7-day, 24-hour operations.
Yeah, okay.
Because people want work-life balance. They don't want to work afternoon shifts, midnight shifts, different hours, different schedules. Plus the environment and what they're dealing with too has certainly component to it. But yes, that is ongoing. And if we could hire people, particularly at the jail, that seems to be quite the churn, we would be able to put in alternative schedules and things that might be more, employees would like more, but you have to have more employees to put in those alternate schedules. The 10 hours or 12 hours, you need about 15 on top of where we are right now, 15 to 20.
One job is jail.
No, I've got my one job, that's good enough.
What I'm wondering about, and certainly just in the future, I'd like to see a program on what you think these drivers are going to be in the future so that we can begin to put that into our
Okay.
planning for.
Well, what I have done for, particularly concentrating on the jail, I've done exit interviews on all the ones that have left. And I've been able to put that in a summary. I'd be glad to present that at some time.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Catherine, do you have anything for us tonight?
I don't. I just want to say that thank you to both the outgoing commissioners, for letting me be a part of the process. And I'm glad everybody brought their appetites tonight.
Okay, county commissioners. Commissioner Smith.
Thank you.
Oh, should I say Vice Chair Smith?
Vice Chair-elect, right?
Vice Chair-elect, right.
Thank you all for the honor. I appreciate that. Happy holidays. We were just saying that over Thanksgiving and the holiday, Christmas, and all those other holidays are coming up. I want to wish everyone a happy holiday of their choice, whatever they choose to observe. But I guess the majority of my comments is a big thank you for my 2-year degree. My 2-year degree of how to be a commissioner. 2 years ago I started, and I thought, wow, what an intimidating bunch. I mean, and I say that in all due respect, because one person coming in onto a board of 5, I felt a little bit, out of sorts. And it was really amazing, actually, to come around to 2 years from then to say, wow, I've learned a ton. Both of you have been excellent mentors. You've been there. You've been just quiet, silent leaders that, just watching, observing, listening to the questions that you ask, hearing the history that you have. It's been just invaluable. For someone like myself who, I thought, okay, this is government, this is a different form of government, a different level of government coming from a city. It was just a huge leap. But you two made that landing very soft for me, very soft. And I want to say thank you, because it could be so different, and it was just an amazing process. So thank you both.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Commissioner Gordon?
I only have one thing I'd like to bring forth, is that it has to do with jail budgets and for the statewide. And what the MCCA is getting ready to do is to develop legislation in conjunction with the sheriffs and MMA, that 35% of the total county's jail budgets will be supported by the state. So that's what the figure starts to show. It costs for the state mandates to be able to run them by the counties. And it's funding that's needed so that it will diminish the costs of property tax. I'll just give you a heads up, if you begin to hear something about that, either ask a question or support it, please, because it's going to be a hard push, and then it still may not get through, but at least what'll start to raise the issue broadly across the state that jails are indeed the public service of last resort. And that's one of the reasons I asked Jackie the question tonight. She struggles, I know, and so does judiciary, but something's got to be done. Thank you.
I'm going to go next, and then I'm going to ask our retiring members to have the last word tonight. This has been a pretty solid year, I think, in a lot of ways. I appreciate Patty's comments. I've always thought of the commissioners as, especially since the passing of the charter, as much more of a kind of a board of directors than anything else when it comes to the operations of the county. And on more than 1 or 2 occasions, we've convened a much broader and directed group in a large setting to define strategic alternatives and opportunities. And by and large, I think we've paid attention to the results of those, and they've helped guide us in ways that I think significant for taxpayers, who, I think through our efforts and through regional efforts of all kinds, get better government service for less money and a better, less kind of parochial view of what can be helpful to the people of our region. So I'm always been glad to be part of it, and I particularly point out that we're kind of like a board of directors, because the board of directors rarely does anything other than sit and watch, and we have the privilege of sitting in to watch a really very talented and dedicated executive group that it's really kind of a pleasure to see how committed they are to the process, in addition to being quite capable of making it work well. So, you know, it's encouraging in a lot of ways that that's true. Neil, do you have something you can give us as you leave?
I would just say happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, and hopefully you and Happy Hanukkah, you and your families will have a great, restful holiday season. And congratulations to the new commissioners, Jean Marie Caterina. I know you do a great job. Look forward to watching you from afar. And want to thank you all, especially my fellow commissioners, for making this the best public service job that I have had in my 35 years of doing public service. So, thank you.
Sue?
I don't really have anything else, you know, within what I did before, except thank you all. It's been a good run. When I first came on the board, there were 3 of us. Dick Feeney, myself, and Howard Jim. I was considered, you know, the one in the middle. And then the charter came in and we got 5, and I said, oh, well, that's good. And for probably for 12 years, I was the only female on this board. Yep. The only female, 3 attorneys, and at times there were 5 opinions of the 5 commissioners, and then there was another 3 opinions of each attorney. So there were times on this board, there were 8 of us. And it was not always, you know, an easy stance, but I can honestly say I think I withstood my ground.
You did a great job.
Sometimes that can get me into trouble. I've been talked off the roof a couple of times by Jim, but, you know, that's okay. But I want to thank you all, and I wish you our holidays, and if you're ever up in the Lake region, I would call ahead to see if I'm home, so, yeah. Maybe I would get together, so, no, well, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. And motion to adjourn, please.
Oh, so moved.
Second.
Yeah, seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Good job.
And here's the last batch of cookies, and they're not homemade, but they're from With a Good Life.